Thank you for tuning into Beast Watch News News Brief at the most current and comprehensive Bible prophecy website on the internet, beastwatchnews.com. All Bible prophecy news, all the time. Stay tuned for news. The scripture reading for Beast Watch News today is Acts 13, verses 42 and 44. As they went out, the people begged that these things might be told them the next Sabbath. The next Sabbath, almost the whole city gathered to hear the word of the Lord. In Israel, Kerry is set to return to Israel and the Palestinian territories next week for his 5th visit to the region in barely 2 months. He's going to extend his push for a revival of peace talks, sources on both sides have said. A senior American official indicated in March that Washington would try to breathe new life into the peace effort for 2 months and then would move on if it proved fruitless. Central EU states are planning to support Palestinian efforts against Israel in The Hague, should the latter thwart the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry's efforts to revive the peace process, the Israel Daily Ma'ariv reported on Thursday. And can anyone guess what the outcome will be on June 20th? The reason for that question is that the Israeli Deputy Defense Minister has announced that his government will block any two-state deal with the Palestinians, and the PA says that they will pursue Israel at the UN if talks fail. In fact, the UN is going to grant urgent aid to Palestinian victims of settler violence. It announced that it is working on a plan meant for providing emergency aid to Palestinian civilians in the occupied West Bank, victims of attacks carried out by extremist Israeli settlements. The aid includes compensation for bodily harm and property damage. It hasn't yet been revealed what the UN will do for Israel's victims of Palestinian attacks. Oh, wait, nothing. Duh! Silly me. And the Palestinian terrorists are stepping up their attempts to abduct Israelis. Maybe the UN will reimburse them for their time and trouble. A leak of the secret military base was not an accident, according to this story. It was part of the plan to make Israel nervous. Yesterday, it was revealed that the current United States administration had leaked to the media the specifications for the secret U.S.-Israel installation for Israel's Arrow 3 missiles. It was quickly called just another leak by the administration, which is already reeling from so many other leaks. The constellation of players in the administration now contains a heavy contingent of those determined to bring quote-unquote peace to Israel, peace being defined as the creation of a Palestinian state under whatever circumstances they can, and the operative question is how to bring Israel in line. Leaking military secrets is actually the second step in the process. First was John Kerry last month positing the absurdity that because Israel is successful, democratic, and increasingly energy independent, Israelis don't care about peace. His implication that Jews care more about money than peace comes ever so close to the anti-Semitic caricature of them. Abbas has accused Israel of trying to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque by allowing Jews to pray on Temple Mount. In an interview he gave on Thursday to the Saudi-based Al-Watan newspaper, Abbas said that the Al-Aqsa Mosque is in danger, claiming that Israel prevents PA Arabs from praying at the mosque while allowing extremist Jews to worship there. This, he claimed, is proof that Israel has a malicious and dangerous plan to destroy the mosque and rebuild the false Holy Temple in its place, as he put it. What they ought to do is take a lesson from Joshua and march around the thing blowing shofars until it crumbles into a heap. John Kerry has quietly approved $1.3 billion in arms to Egypt. Pursuant to the law for the $1.3 billion to flow to Egypt, the Secretary of State must certify that the Egyptian government is supporting the transition to civilian government, including holding free and fair elections, implementing policies to protect freedom of expression, association, and religion, and due process of law. The law also requires that Egypt honor its peace treaty with Israel. Tel Aviv is celebrating its annual Gay Defiance, Pride Festival today. The festival began at 10 a.m. at Gonmere Park, home to the city's gay community center, and had featured speeches, performances, and music. The massive parade of some 25,000 participants started at 1 p.m., making its way from the park through central Tel Aviv and culminated at the iconic Gordon Beach. Under War and Peace, Israel has moved its tanks and Austria has moved out as the Syrian fighting continues to rage near the Golan Heights. Deteriorating security conditions near the Golan Heights headquarters for UN peacekeepers in the region has prompted Austria to say it will pull out its 370 troops, more than a third of the force assigned to help keep Israel and Syria at bay. A CNN team also could see Israeli tanks taking up position along the border on the Israeli-occupied side of the Golan Heights. A Beastwatch News reader has added this content. A new species of fowl has been discovered, the Benedict Austrian chicken. Heavy fighting broke out around the Golan Heights yesterday as 2 UN troops were injured, and Israeli residents of the area reported loud explosions and thick walls of smoke over Quneitra. Israel is scrambling to complete its 45-mile barrier along the Syrian border. And a Syrian MP says the army was given a green light to just simply respond to Israeli attacks without government approval. The Jordan foreign minister says the Syrian ambassador has been given a final warning because it attacked the kingdom's deployment of U.S. Patriot missiles. An Al-Qaeda Syrian rebel group is said to be now sitting on the Israeli border. The IDF verified reports on Thursday that Syrian rebel forces have conquered parts of the Golan city of Quneitra, placing them directly on the border with Israel. IDF officials said that the takeover of the area by rebel forces was a significant development. A major clash in Tripoli's souks broke out between Salafists who support the revolt in Syria and fighters loyal to Hezbollah. 2 Hezbollah fighters were wounded in the struggle. It was the first battle since 2008 in central Tripoli, although frequent Syria-related violence has raged in other districts. War-torn Syria is ravaged by outbreaks of diseases like typhoid, cholera, measles, and tuberculosis. The World Health Organization is warning of an increased risk of disease epidemics all throughout Syria and in neighboring countries as summer approaches. The U.S. has conducted successful tests of bunker-buster bombs in an effort to show Israel and other ally states that it is capable of striking Iran's nuclear plants. In other health news, the U.S. says that a deadly MRSA virus could affect national security. As Saudi and UN health authorities report new infections from a troubling new respiratory disease, there are concerns that the approaching Hajj, the annual Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca, could increase the risk of spreading the virus as pilgrims return to their home countries. Meanwhile, the U.S. government, in a notice published in the Federal Register on Wednesday, declared that the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus, or simply MERS, could potentially affect national security or the health and security of the U.S. citizens living abroad. And a former drone operator has said he is haunted by his part in more than 1,600 deaths by drone. If one man has killed 1,600 people, imagine how many people have been killed by the entire drone force. Under U.S. and world economy, the jobs report is kind of sticky today. The May unemployment rate rose to 7.6 amid the addition of 175,000 jobs. And there are refinery issues as a summer blend sends gas prices soaring in the Chicago area. Chicago gas prices jumped 25% on one day this week. Under White House news, we have the new America with a K. They can, they have, and they will. America's got a new PRISM program. Hey, that rhymes with prison. What a coinky-dinky. The National Security Agency has obtained direct access to the systems of Google, Facebook, Apple, and other U.S. internet giants, according to a top-secret document obtained by The Guardian. The NSA access is part of a previously undisclosed program called PRISM, which allows officials to collect material, including search history, the content of email, file transfers, live chats, and everything else, the document says. The Guardian has verified the authenticity of the document, which is a 41-slide PowerPoint presentation, which is classified as top secret with no distribution to foreign allies, but was apparently used to train intelligence operatives on the capabilities of the program. The document claims collection directly from the servers of major U.S. service providers. And anger swells after the NSA phone records collection has been revealed. The scale of America's surveillance state was laid bare on Thursday as senior politicians revealed that the U.S. counterterrorism effort had swept up swaths of personal data from the phone calls of millions of citizens for years. After the revelation of a sweeping secret court order that authorized the FBI to seize all call records from a subsidiary of Verizon, the Obama administration sought to defuse mounting anger over what critics described as the broadest surveillance ruling ever issued. A White House spokesman said that laws governing such orders have been in place for a number of years now. People want the homeland kept safe, according to Dianne Feinstein, but as the implications of the blanket approval for obtaining phone data reverberated around Washington and beyond, anger grew among other politicians. One report wrote that they can quite literally watch your ideas as you type them. And in this old but relevant headline in March, the CIA chief said that we will spy on you through your dishwasher. And while we're in this vein, David Petraeus is at the Bilderberg meeting to craft quote-unquote big data spy grid, according to Alex Jones. Bilderberg's official agenda for 2013 lists one of the areas of discussion as how big data is changing almost everything, a reference to how the Internet of Things, along with the ubiquitous growth of social media, is transforming the world of surveillance and the ability to foresee and manipulate future events. The House has voted to stop the Department of Homeland Security from entering into any new contracts to buy millions of rounds of ammunition until the Department of Homeland Security reports to Congress on the need for the ammo and its cost. A new amendment to the DHS spending bill for 2014 would require the report to Congress before it can pursue plans to buy another 1.1 billion rounds of ammunition. Meanwhile, a little group of 6-year-olds have been suspended from school for bringing and playing with Nerf guns. Barack Obama is heading to China for a summit with high hopes for progress, and when Barack Obama sits down with the newly installed Xi Jinping at the Sunnylands country estate in California on Friday and Saturday, they will be aiming for a superpower retreat of an altogether different ambition. Although the shirt sleeves will be carefully rolled up to suggest a relaxed affair, expectations are building on both sides for a historic meeting that attempts nothing short of carving out a new world order. Now there's a phrase we know something about, and how do you think it will be decided who gets to run this new world order? Peace treaty? Elections? By appointment to the UN? Or will Barack Obama and Xi Jinping duke it out? Or will there be war? Obama has chosen Samantha Power, Libyan war architect, to be our next UN ambassador. The elevation of Samantha Power signals the probability of a humanitarian intervention in Syria in the months or weeks ahead. Like the Libyan intervention, this bloody intervention will be portrayed as a principled response to the human rights abuses of Bashar al-Assad. In the aftermath, as in the aftermath of Libya, few will bother to notice the carnage wrought by the purported liberators and the ultimate fate suffered by average Syrians, a fate shared by average Libyans and Iraqis in previous humanitarian interventions. The New York State Senate today passed a bill that creates the crime of aggravated harassment of a police or peace officer. The bill, S-2402, which was sponsored by Senator Joe Griffo, would make it a felony to harass, annoy, or threaten a police officer while on duty. This reporter thought it was a given that people were not to harass, annoy, or threaten police officers, and a Beastwatch reader commented on it. It's not like they're going to get out of control or anything. I'm sure they'll continue to be long-suffering and decent, as always. And so while this is going on in New York, in Florida, a sheriff has been arrested after defending the Second Amendment. In weather news, Tropical Storm Andrea is zipping up the East Coast. After bringing rains, heavy winds, and even tornadoes to parts of Florida, Tropical Storm Andrea moved quickly across South Georgia and is speeding through the Carolinas today, promising sloppy commutes and waterlogged vacation getaways through the beginning of the weekend. 60,000 people protested Japan's plan to restart its nuclear power plants. An anti-nuclear power rally last Sunday near the DEET building drew 60,000 people, according to the 3 groups that organized the event, including one led by Nobel laureate Kenzaburo Oe. This is Beastwatch News Daily Update. See these and other stories at beastwatchnews.com. Bible prophecy news every day except Shabbat.